Welcome back, everyone, to WCS Challenger Day 2, where we are getting ready to hop into our 4th series of the day. And this is one talk that I think we've both been looking forward to as soon as we saw it. It's going to be Lilbow versus SortOf. Lilbow, of course, the runner-up of WCS Premier League Season 2.
Yeah, pretty good player against Zerg, I would say. He got to pick very early. The first player actually to pick went straight away for SortOf. Wait a second, I'm pulling up that interview.
You're going to quote him?
I think it's so funny how straightforward he is.
No, like Lilbow is...
he has zero filter.
Yeah. Well, you can go ahead and find the interview. I can just tell the people at home, the way that Lilbow is on stage, that's truly how he is. Like I've never met anyone like Lilbow. I've always thought that you were like a very special character, and then Stefano as well. I don't know what it is with the French. Like Daishi comes across very normal. Marine Lord, I think he's a little cheeky.
Daishi is a little bit of a degenerate as well.
Yeah, I know, like in degenerate in a good way. But Lilbow, he's just like you never know. Like he only has like one. He's kind of like the Charlie Sheen. Without all the bad things, but just like he's just so straightforward. He just says all these things. You look at him, he's like, yeah. And like, I don't know, I can't figure him out, but I do really like Lilbow. I think he's he's a great guy.
First question was, Lilbow, why did you pick this guy? He's the worst player. Are you preparing, and how do you prepare your match? I'm preparing by playing custom games. Obviously.
Yeah,
that's the answer as well.
That's Lilbow in a nutshell, right there,
And do you have any prediction for the other matches of the French player? I think Marine Lord and Firecake will win, and DNS and Daishi will lose.
Just
period.
Doesn't add one word to any sentence that doesn't have to be there.
It's so funny.
In a way, his interviews are very similar to how all the Koreans answer their interviews, but then he has no filter.
Yeah.
Like the Koreans are often really short as well, and then they just kind of try to
He
play
doesn't
it all
sugarcoat anything.
No.
He just says it as he thinks.
Yeah, I know.
He's like, why did you pick SortOf? He was the worst player.
And I am surprised by that, because we can talk a little bit about SortOf. SortOf is a very interesting character when it comes to StarCraft 2. He's been around for a long time, and he was, once upon a time, hyped as one of the absolute best players in Europe. He was one of the most talented players in Europe. I'm going to give you a little bit of a throwback Tuesday moment over here. I know it's supposed to be Thursday, but since it's a Tuesday in Europe, it doesn't matter. Well, it's Tuesday everywhere, I guess. Well, maybe never. Time zones. Australia, it's a Wednesday zone already. Just leave it. Either way, SortOf once upon a time made it as one of the only 2 non-Koreans to an NASL offline finals.
Yeah.
And he was the only non-Korean that made it into the top 8, if I recall correctly. I know the Muslim was there as well, but I think the Muslim lost in the round of 16.
Did you know I played against SortOf before in the Premier League in round of 32?
No, I don't know that.
And he was in Korea back then?
Yeah, I know that.
There was a rule saying that you had to play on Europe. So I messaged him before the matches. I was like, oh man, like, you're really going to lag a lot if you play on Europe. If you want, I agree to play on NA with you.
Yeah.
And he was like, nope, we can play on Europe. He smashed me from Korea.
This was this wings or HOTS? It must have been HOTS, right? Because it was WCS, you said.
Yeah.
Wow.
It was, I think, season 2 or something like that, in round of 32.
Wow. How did that happen, Tom?
I'm terrible.
Hey, so
memories. The memories.
But you already mentioned it, and that's kind of where I want to go with my story. So he was one of the very own, or one of the only 2 Europeans back then to qualify for the NASL Season 4 offline finals. It's a long time ago. Liquid Hero won the tournament in the final against Violet. Mr. Bitter was still casting, all those things. But SortOf was already around. He was there. He was hyped up. Then we got the news that he's going to Korea, and everyone's like, man, SortOf is great. Got picked up by Alliance back then to be a teammate of Naniwa. And everyone was like, SortOf is probably going to be the next big Zerg thing. And it's been a little bit of a, even calling it a roller coaster may not even really be it, because he kind of just faded away for a while.
He had like a really deep run once in DreamHack, and then he lost to Naniwa, who ended up making it to the finals, but never really had the results that really showed for his practice, because he's one of those guys that practices a lot. Like you meet him on ladder, he's a pretty scary name, Definitely can beat pretty much anybody on the ladder. But struggles a lot more in tournaments. Kind of like the Muslim, to some extent.
Yeah, and that's funny because the Muslim was at an NASL tournament as well. The 2 non-Koreans that shined back then were never able to overcome it once more. So to go back to the interview of Lilbow, do you feel that SortOf is the weakest player in this qualifier?
I guess if you're Lilbow and you're really good against Zerg, maybe, but maybe not. I don't know. Like, I guess I'd have to look at all the names very closely. But I'm not sure if I would have picked him. I don't think so.
No,
I have history of losing against him personally, so I'm a little bit biased.
I think SortOf is a pretty scary opponent for Lilbow. I do agree that Lilbow is probably the favorite, but as Lilbow, the runner-up of Season 2, he was the player that had the first pick. He could have picked anyone, and he decided to go with SortOf. We are loaded into game number 1 that is going to be played on Coda, so we'll see how that decision is going to backfire or not.
The last time that you said that a player shouldn't be overlooked, it was Starbuck, Roddy. Maybe it's time again.
Yeah, I mean, it would be a massive upset, and I'm not going to predict it, but I do not think that Lilbow is going to win this series 3-0. There's absolutely, I definitely think that this man, the Swedish Zerg, spawning on the right bottom side, in the name of SortOf, is going to at least take 1, but possibly 2 maps. I think this is going to be a very close nail-biting series. I truly believe that. This is not fake caster hype, guys, in case you call me out for that. Of course, this man is a pretty hyped up man now in general. Millennium's very own Lilbow, after making it to the finals of Season 2. What a great run that was, Todd.
Yeah, it was pretty massive. He had been practicing for this for a long time. Always said he wanted to be the best foreigners and really brought it to everybody he played against. Gonna go for a gateway down the ramp. We don't really see this much.
Yeah,
I feel like the last time I saw it, it was like from Grubby.
Really?
Yeah.
I saw it from Lilbow a couple of times, but I've never been a big fan of this. I think it's very hard, especially if you play against like a cheesy opening. You have to pull your drones or your probes so far away to even keep this pylon alive, because if the pylon does die, well, then it's all ogre immediately.
The thing about SortOf is that he practices a lot, and he actually plays a lot of custom games as well. The same goes for Lilbow, but SortOf, I feel like, is a lot less of a familiar name that people are going to be able to know that about him. He's pretty close to Naniwa. He's one of the rare chosen ones that actually practices with Naniwa. And
I thought you were going to say he's a friend of Naniwa. I was like, hey, I'm a friend.
I don't know
of
if I would go that far, but
I'm on good terms with you. But
at
yes.
least you think so.
True. He made a donation to me the other day, so I think it's all good. But either way, that's right. They've got a long-lasting history, and I have always thought of SortOf as a very good play, as a very scary play. We see him go double hatch before spawning pool over here. Lilbow, the placement of his gateway is going to give him a slightly quicker Zealot, or at least a Zealot that's going to be slightly quicker when it comes to making it to the other side of the map. And it might be a little bit annoying. I think I've seen him get like 2 drone kills with this in the past, and if you can get 2 drone kills with a single Zealot, obviously you would always sign up for that.
Do you think he's going to go for the main or stay in the natural?
No, I definitely think he's going to go for the drones in the main.
Okay. Because
it's too easy for SortOf to micro in the natural. If you only have like 1 drone to micro, you're not going to mess it up. So I'm sure he's just going to run to the main.
All right, here we go. Zealot here going to get in position. SortOf pulling a lot of drones here already. You're going to chase that Zealot really far out. Oh my god. This was a massive commitment.
Yeah, I mean, this is already okay for Lilbow. He's going to get his first drone there, Glitters. He's going to get a second drone. Up. The extractor. Spore, spine.
Dude, it's not a Hellion or a Reaper. You can actually outrun a Zealot body.
Well, it's still though.
Extractor.
See, if he would have.
Yeah, but still, he could have run away. Like, you don't need to make an extractor with a low drone. Oh my god.
Maybe, but sometimes it's easier. Because like otherwise you have to click, and he's gonna keep focusing the lower 3
You can't come back
drones.
on this, man.
Why not? I would do it if I was Zerg. No, because like there's like acceleration speed, right? So if the Zealot is in range of a drone, okay, Todd is shaking his head already. He's making fun of me, but that's all right. So there is like an acceleration speed. So sometimes the Zealot can get the final swipe off on a drone before it was really able to outrun it. Or you can just morph it into an extractor immediately, or a spore, and then like the swipe doesn't go and the drone lives.
And then you call people Stargorn.
You want to say that there is never a moment to morph into an extractor?
Against Zealots like this, no, you're supposed to just pull back and not lose any.
Yeah, but like I said, there is acceleration speed. It takes a little while before speed reaches, before the drone reaches top speed. And the Zealot could get a final slice off. But if it just morphs into a building.
You know what, Roddy?
Yeah.
You're right.
No, I wasn't suggesting that he was going to make 7 spores, Todd. I was just suggesting, just to save this 1 drone in particular that did still live and it just ran away. So
I said you're right, man.
No, I just counted my own point. You're right.
A little bit surprised to see sentries here with the Stargate. Usually you don't have the gas to afford both, but Lilbow went for a very quick 3rd gas.
Does he have a probe out on the map? Nope. Because a build that has been popular for a while, and I think Lilbow used it one time against Hydra. Not 100% sure if he did it like that, but it's just to make 1 or 2 oracles into a 7 or 8 gate. Because the oracles, most of the time, you get some guaranteed damage with it. This oracle is kind of quick, and not a single Spore Crawler is down yet, by the way, for SortOf. SortOf, that oracle is real.
I think he's going to go for the main too, because usually on the natural or third base is where there's going to be 2 queens ready in defense.
Oh, he switches.
Oh, he faked it.
Oh, sick. Man, he's going to get 6, 7 drones over here, Todd. I'd say 7.
There's 1 queen in position there.
No,
He's actually attacking that.
No. I don't think this is a good decision at all. Oh, my God. I would have always gone for the drones.
He's not paying attention to it. Attacking the hatchery here for quite a bit of time. Queens are going to get in position here to defend this. Lilbow going for the third base behind this.
I think SortOf dodged the massive bullet over there. If I'm SortOf, I would always rather...
He dodged a pulsar beam, Roddy. That's what he does, not a bullet.
That's bigger than a bullet. He dodged the pulsar beam. That's great. That's the StarCraft expression that we should keep around.
And behind it with the Forge, I wouldn't be surprised if Lilbow, upon securing his natural, went for a Twilight Council pretty quickly. A Robo as well. This is the Baguette proto style that we heard so much about. He actually goes for the Twilight in his wall at the third base. He's been doing this quite a bit.
So, what happens if SortOf would have gone for a double Roach one build and just make a ridiculous amount of Roaches? You make a Void
It's
Ray?
actually one of the builds that you can do really well against this style of Lilbow, but there is the hallucination supposedly flying in and spotting it. And if you spot it, you get cannons everywhere, you get Chrono Boost out a lot of Immortals, and once you have 3 to 4 Immortals, it's going to be much easier to hold this kind of attack.
A lot of Chrono Boost saved up, and look at the saturation of Lilbow, Todd, and he's doing this on purpose, so it seems. Okay, no, he had 21-21, so he had like a perfect even distribution, but now he's going to leave it 16-16. So he's going to transfer a lot of workers to his fresh base immediately. Looking on the other side of the map for SortOf, it's still just Roaches and Hydras, nothing too crazy. Kind of wonder where he's going to take this. He's on 65 drones, which is a very reasonable amount. I'm still thinking about the decision of Lilbow to go for the Queen rather than the drones. And the only thing I can think of is that he didn't want to tank too much real damage. You know, that right now he only lost shields before, but it seems like he's taken more damage eventually. But before the Oracle had like 70 out of 100 HP. And if he would have gone for the drones, that one Queen would have probably put it pretty low in HP. That is the only thing, but I would really always rather go for the drones. But
I think that SortOf, by the way, he has some very good late game in ZVP.
Yeah,
and I feel like every time I say that, the Zerg gets absolutely demolished right after. But I do think that if he goes into Broodlords, you know, 5 bases and does like Ultra Transitions or whatever, or even Mutas, he's going to be one of the better Zergs being able to pull this off.
Yep, like I think it requires a lot of skill to control both, let's say, Queens, Broodlords, Infestors, and Vipers, right? That's a
Blinding Cloud Fungal is actually really hard to execute.
I know, it's really hard. And I feel that indeed SortOf is pretty damn good with it. Another Zerg that I think is very good with it is...
Zenster?
Yeah, no, Namchar, actually.
Oh, yeah, Namchar as well.
I mean, all those Swedish Zergs, man, they've got it.
Especially with Ultras, from what I've seen when he played you.
Yeah. Well, when they play me, a lot of people look very good, Todd. I think that has more to do with me than them. I'm realistic enough to know that. But I do think he's very good in executing that. Hey, when you put them in a row, SortOf, Zenster, Namchar, the Swedish Zergs are coming again, man. Winter is coming. All right, Lilbow is going to go for a big attack, and actually his army looks devastating. And it feels like he's hitting on a very, very good moment. Because I feel that right now SortOf was just getting ready for the next phase of his army, getting enough Hydras, getting Passion Clans, you know, getting a couple of Infestors out. These 4 fields are good, and this Zerg army looks surprisingly small. The Hydra numbers are climbing though, but I feel that SortOf didn't expect this attack from Lilbow to hit right here, right now.
I think SortOf is experiencing the full Protoss Baguette right now. The full experience.
Got smacked in the face.
Deluxe edition. Hitting his 4th base right there.
Yeah, the Premier Edition by Lilbow. Better than this, they probably won't come. Just makes it look easy so far.
Yeah, taking out that 4th base there of SortOf. Going to be a 3 base against 3 base situation. He's adding on 1 more gateway. +3 now started. He's got so many Stalkers here to work with. I don't quite think he can move down this ramp, but he might prove me wrong.
He doesn't have... I've said this in the past as well. And then they drop Force Fields and make Guardian Shield. And it's like, wow, I look really silly right now. I just made the worst call ever. But Lilbow is transitioning behind this a tiny bit. He's getting charged. He's getting Templar Archive.
Yeah, for Storm. Fully knowing that here, the only transition possible a lot of the time for SortOf is going to be to Vipers. But look at this. Infestors being made. He wants... I think he thinks that Lilbow is just committing a lot to this, and he's just going to attack, but it's not the case.
I think it's so smart from Lilbow to just back off now. He could be stubborn and walk down that ramp, but he didn't do it. Instead, he waited up the ramp. He's like, hey, if you want to fight me, you should try to run up this ramp. And he would just drop force fields again. And he's also cleaning up all these cryptomers. Man, this is pretty flawless PvZ so far. From the runner-up of WCS Premier League Season 2. Makes it look so easy. Whenever I play this style, I get so nervous. I get so anxious. It's like, oh, I'm giving too much freedom to the Zerg, yada, yada, yada. And Lilbow just makes it look absolutely...
You know what happens to me when I play this style? I have so much minerals that I can't spend them. But Lilbow, you see what he did? He's going up to 12 gates.
Yeah.
So basically across 3 bases, he's going to be able to spend his minerals really well, even if he goes into Charge Lot and High Templar sometime soon here.
I mean, like with 12 gateways now, he can just start warping in pylons everywhere. He can start spamming zealots, and it doesn't really bother him. That's a good way to get rid of those minerals.
You still want to be training cost effectively, though, as much as possible. He's trying to move in a position here on the left-hand side.
Because he doesn't have a
fungal is going to hit.
He doesn't have a fort base yet, so he has to be a tiny bit careful. Imagine if a fungal would land on top of all those sentries. Oh, that's
the zealots on the right-hand side are going to get a cancel on that hatchery there.
That's what Zerg dreams
Char's
are
going to
made
finish.
of.
Oh, he's going to get in a position here on the left-hand side to try and do some damage on that base. Preemptively force field.
Protoss.
The infestors are in position, though. He knows. Oh, this is such good play. I wouldn't be surprised if he went into a force base here in a second.
Okay.
Storm just completed.
Yeah, so this is basically Lilbow's moment. With Storm and stuff, Lilbow is probably going to be a lot stronger than SortOf. But let's take a look at the main base thought. There is Hive going down, and that Spire is going down. With just 4 or 5 Broodlords, the entire dynamic of the battle could completely change. But they're a pretty long way off, and Lilbow is probably not going to waste that much time.
There's going to be so many storms.
But it could be difficult to attack up a ramp, though. Like, I think SortOf doesn't want to let him get up the ramp, because he knows if he gets up that... Well,
9 High Templars, Roddy.
Yeah.
Are you ready for the showers?
Are you ready for some feedbacks, maybe, as well? So this is just going to get cancelled. This is going to sit there.
He can't really attack in this. SortOf is turtling hard on 3 bases here. He wants to reach Broodlords if he can. He wants to land some fungals.
He gets 2 sentries. Maybe? Oh, no,
the Greater Spire now begins.
Yeah, man. He's just playing Wings of Liberty. He's like, hey.
Slivko.
Why Slivko?
Because Turtle Infestor into Broodlords.
Nah, SortOf did it a lot as well. And then we had great other Zergs like Johnny Recco and... What was that other guy called? That beat the Muslim in the UK qualifier? Zictomini or
There was
something?
too many of them. Maybe Zictor.
Oh, Ben. Be nice to Benny.
He loves it.
He was the runner-up, though. There was only one. It was Zictomini. And Zerg was pretty strong back then.
Lilbow moving in a position here to try and do some damage from the left-hand side. Really going around. Oh, the Oracle's going to get sniped, actually.
Yeah.
Oh, that was Templar coming in from behind, getting some feedbacks there.
I don't really like...
These force fields are brilliant, by the way. It's really hard to fungal against this army.
Oh, that's a good storm, hitting 5, 6, 7 Hydras. But still, though, I kind of feel that Lilbow's army is going to run a little bit out of steam. Those fungals start, I feel that they're really good.
Zealot's coming in from behind.
Yeah, but they're just kind of dying because the Stalkers are not participating yet. I think there is enough static defenses over here for SortOf, and SortOf probably thinking, who's the worst player in Challenger now? Get back to your side of the map. This was really good for SortOf, man.
I'm really surprised that there is no proxy pylon much closer, because if there was one, I think he could just reinforce with mass units and just kind of finish it. And SortOf, by the look of things, he's going to be able to complete a few of his dear Broodlords there. We have no Tempest transition there inside. It's just a few Void Rays being popped out one by one by the single Stargate of Lilbow.
I don't like this at all for Lilbow. He has so much money. Come on, man. Drop a Stargate. Drop drop a Fleet Beacon, a second Stargate, and take this base on the right top side of the map as well. He's going to try again with Stalkers, but the Broodlords are ready now. The Storm is good, though. That's right on top of the entire Zerg army. I just feel SortOf needs to survive one more time. Broodlords are a tiny bit exposed. Are we going to see a forward blink by Lilbow? He's storming,
I don't think so. He's maybe thinking about it, but there was too many units. Now there is not enough, I think. If he went forward and sniped all of those Broodlords, even if he lost his entire army, he would have done a job to try and finish it behind. There's more Stalkers coming in. He's got so many of them.
Yeah, but it's just Stalkers, though. They're fighting now against 3 units.
Just Stalkers.
Okay, it's Lilbow Stalkers, that's
Best
right.
goddamn unit in the game.
Look at this one Broodlord that has like 1 HP or whatever it is, 4, 9, 10 HP. I think SortOf, well, it's going to be really close, but pulling a couple of the drones now, a couple of transfuses landing on this one Broodlord. I think SortOf is holding, man. I know he's down 20 supply, but I think he's going to hold.
I don't know, Kev. Reinforcements.
That's a lot of stock. Oh my god, those 12 gateways. Well, here we go. Forward blink is going to go down. Is there enough damage output over here? One Broodlord falls, second Broodlord falls, third Broodlord falls, fifth Broodlord falls as well. Spinecrawl is coming in right now. They were a little bit out of position. SortOf, do you have anything else? Ah, it's the upgrades as well, man. I completely forgot about that. It's 3-1 against 1-1.
Yeah. He's even going to blink forward there with the spines finally burrowing. Lilbow trying to deal with this Hydra Disc as fast as possible. Might have overextended here a little bit, but with the economy that he has, I don't think he's going to care too much. SortOf is now saturated on 4 bases, though. If he was to somehow hold this, he would have a chance to maybe win, but he's taking way too much damage.
It's the upgrades, man. It's the upgrades that were just a little bit too much there in the end. At a certain point, it really looked very close. It almost sort of had enough. Maybe if he brought those spines a little bit quicker, he wouldn't have ended up losing those 4 or 5 Broodlords. And also, the storms in the start of that final fight, they were a little too good. Like, they were hitting Broodlords, and they were hitting 4 or 5 Hydras below it.
Yeah.
And I think not having at least +2 missile attacks, I think that also really hurt SortOf there.
He put up a good fight, though, for a matchup where Lilbow, who was the first pick here, said that he had picked clearly the worst player that there was. Put up a pretty good fight. But which is, I guess, good for the rest of the series going to it.
Exactly. It's good for us. It's good for us for the fans. But you know, if you would ask Lilbow right now, how was it? He would say it was easy. He would look you in the eye and said,
You think
easy.
he'd say easy?
Yes. He always says that. He always gives me this very straight, one-word answers, looks me deep in the eyes and says, yeah, I wrecked him. Like he's about to attack me. That's he's a funny guy. Curious to see what game number 2 is going to be played on. Coda, maybe not the best map for Reserve currently in the map pool against Protoss. It's not bad, but I think a lot of Protoss have a lot of experience, especially when it comes to the Sentry, Blink Stalker. And if nothing out of the ordinary happens, I feel most of the time it's pretty okay for Protoss.
Yeah. And it was very important, actually, that Lilbow, he did, the mass Blink Stalkers, Sentries, the Baguette Protoss, so to speak, Deluxe Edition on that 4th base, because that's really what put him ahead enough so that he could finish the game behind this with a 4-base economy against a later 4-base from SortOf. If this hadn't happened, he could have been in a lot of trouble. There would have been more Broodlords, more army, more units, more reinforcements for SortOf, and it would have been really hard for Lilbow to actually win, especially when you hit, like, that crazy amount of Broodlords. I would say, like, from 8 to 10. Now it was only, like, 4 to 5.
Yeah, exactly. That's such a...
He wasn't going to go Tempest, ever. He had no intention of going Tempest.
So, like, even though it may have looked one-sided in the end when Lost Ark survived, I think you make a very valid point, I thought. Like, 4 Broodlords, they help a lot. 5, that's nice, but it's like that magic number of 7 and 8, and suddenly your Stalkers, they will just derp all the time. There will be too many Broodlings on the ground. Stalkers, if they blink forward, they just die, and if you attack move, they just shoot at 3 units. So it's just, it's really funny how quickly it snowballs out of control, and SortOf got very close to reaching that magic number of Broodlords, but it wasn't good enough. Second map is going to be played on Cactus Valley, a map with a lot of choke points, a lot of narrow paths. So it could be very good for Blink Stalker Sentry as well. But maybe we'll see SortOf do something crazy. I'm not sure.
It's not really the type, to be honest. SortOf will be a lot of the time, playing very straightforward. I guess for something crazy for SortOf would be a completely different tech route. Say, I don't know, like something like, doing a lot of roaches, but somehow saving a lot of gas and then going for a Spire. For a guy like SortOf, I feel like that'd be a little bit crazy, because he's really more the type to just go up to 3 bases, try to take it to the later stage of the game, 4th base, hive, all that. It doesn't really all in much.
I did kind of like the approach that he had here on Coda. It really reminded me of Wings of Liberty, the way that they used to reach Broodlord Infested. They also used to get a lot of spine crawlers and stuff, and it fell a little bit out of fashion because Broodlords were just so much weaker, because the Tempests were so much stronger. Now, Tempests are still good against Broodlords, but they're not like, oh, let's get 2 Tempests and the game is over, all your Broodlords are useless right now. So I think that PvZ, if he gives a small touch to it, it could be a very interesting style. We may see the Wings of Liberty style make a big comeback. Maybe even in this series. Let's just go ahead and hop into the second game.
We can only hope, Roddy, that this will happen, because we really enjoyed those Broodlord games in Wings of Liberty, right?
Well, I mean, back then we didn't have any Tempest, thought.
Actually, I'd like to see Tempest against Broodlords try and deal with it, with like Vipers trying to get the abducts.
And of course, the big difference as well is that back then Fungal Grove was very, very sick. It wasn't a projectile, it just kind of rained down from the sky and pretty much hit as fast as Storm did. Anyways, we are loaded into Cactus Valley, as everyone can see. Over here on the right top side, the runner-up of Premier League Season 2. if he has a good season, he could be the highest ranked foreigner in the world when it comes to WCS points, is Lilbow. And with foreigner, of course, we just mean non-Korean in general, as the Koreans are dominating the WCS rankings. This is a man that has been to Korea in the past to practice. We had high hopes of him. It's been a little quiet, but he's trying to make a big splash on the scene once again by maybe upsetting the runner-up of Season 2. It is SortOf. Pratar svenska, Tot.
What do you think of the opener of Lilbow, actually? It was very unusual. Like going for the gateway down the ramp,
Yeah.
and then it felt as if he was an adaptive build, and he was almost hoping that his opponent was going to go for double hatch before pull, in which case he got the Zealot and gets 2 kills.
Yep. I
And
think
almost forced an extractor, according to you.
Oh, you're so funny, Tom. But I don't know. I'm personally not a big fan of like pylon and gate. I would rather just get pylon in my main and drop the gate in my main if I want to open up gateway against Zerg. But you know, who am I to ever disagree with Lilbow? I'm pretty damn sure he knows what he's doing. He's done the math, and it did look effective against double hatch before pool. I think it looked very effective. You know, that Zealot definitely got its money worth. 7, 8 drones without mining. He killed 2 drones, I believe, in the end. Almost forced the drone to morph into an extractor. Like, it was a solid opening. He definitely got what he was hoping for.
Yeah. I mean, ideally, you want to be able to kill more than 2, but I guess that'd be overreaching a little bit.
Then you're dreaming, mate.
So what? It's
Dream
okay to
big.
be a big dreamer, man.
It's going to be Nexus first this time for Lilbow, followed up by the Forge and the Gateway. Let's take a look at this wall up. We'll have an entrance over here. That is the only way. Sometimes it looks like units can run through here because it looks like it's a big gap, but I'm pretty sure that this is the only entrance into the natural of Lilbow right now. As this probe is just cruising around the middle of the map. Zerg.
Do you like this position? Like, when you open like this, I feel... I don't really like it personally as Protoss, you know? Like, you open with the Forge pretty quickly, then you don't end up cannoning, and then the Zerg's going pull first. So basically, it's going to drone like a madman for a very long time and be extremely safe.
True, but I think if you're confident, then it's okay as Protoss. But, you know, it would have been
So
better.
it's definitely not okay.
So it would have been better, of course, to go Gateway and then into Core immediately and then just delay the Forge and not get it at all. The Forge is very, very safe. He even got the cannon, but he did scout and he saw the pool was relatively early, so to speak. You know, it wasn't a double hatch before pool this time. So I think Lilbow is just being like, well, rather safe than sorry. We know that he is, I would almost say a little cocky, but he's cocky in a good way. You know, he's just very confident. So I think he just looks at this. He's like, let's make sure I don't lose to anything stupid, and then I will be fine. I think, and that's just what's going on over here.
Impression, man.
Yeah, I'm not very good at doing
bad.
Lilbow yet. I need to.
He's
hear
not good at doing me.
I'm great at doing you, Todd.
God damn.
Everyone loves it when I do a Todd impression. It's the only one I can do. It's not how I sound to do.
Stargate going down around the natural now here for Lilbow. So it seems like it's funny because against Terran it's the same thing. He has like, you know, these periods of time where he loves to go for the Stargate, get an Oracle out, and then go straight into Colossus, play a fairly standard game, use a lot of Revelations, and have a lot of map presence. And it feels like he's kind of, I guess, transition over to PvZ with the same style, where you get an Oracle out and you do pretty much the same thing. And I mean, he's doing really well with it. If you master one style and nobody else can do it nearly as well, it's going to be really hard for them to actually counter you when you do it.
That's why I still play Phoenix, Todd. I have
And
the
Dark
dream.
Templars, oh yes.
Well, one day, Todd, I master it so well, and no one else knows how to deal with it. Like I think
How can people lose to this?
it's pretty solid, actually. Really, man. One day. One day, Todd. One day.
I want to play with my Zerg, man. See how it goes.
But yeah, like I feel like when it comes to oracles, as a Protoss, you either love them or you hate them. I have to admit, I'm a little bit on the hate train, like, and that's mostly because I just suck with them. I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
But my oracles are like magnets for Widow Mines. It doesn't matter where I fly. Like unbuildable terrain doesn't matter. There's a Widow Mine there, and my oracle dies. And like whenever I see the Koreans, what I do think is very cool. Like I'm not a massive fan of the one oracle, but I think the double oracle against Terran and stuff, I think that's very cool, you know? Because it basically takes 2 clicks of a pulsar beam. It's like one dead. But if you have 2 oracles, then it's click that. And I think that's really
he's
cool.
gonna lose it.
Wow. This is basically me.
Yeah.
This is me. and every single
Without the
Oracle.
4 kills.
Yeah, probably like 2, you know.
No, but I have the same. Like oracles, they are really hard, I feel, to manage well. Not just, you know, in terms of micro when you get in there, but even picking the right place to go.
Yep.
And I feel like it takes so much practice and game knowledge that maybe I don't have the sufficient one myself to pull it off. But Lilbow, in this case, practices this build a lot, I'm sure. And a lot of the time, he pulls it off pretty well. In the first game, it was the case, but now this time, the Oracle got sniped.
Yeah, and this is very tricky because we can just look at Lilbow's vision at the moment, sees absolutely nothing. Does have a couple sentries though, so he will be able to hallucinate phoenixes. And that's going to give him some information because you want to know what's happening. You know, do I have to be worried? Do I need cannons? Do I need to chrono boost out an immortal? And for now, he's going to see like, well, actually, I don't really have to worry all that much. I see everything is ready. What a weird scout, by the way, Todd. What is his scout?
Not much.
He wants to make sure there are no units running across the map.
Yeah, I guess.
Wow, he got really paranoid there.
Yeah. The thing is, from SortOf, you can't really expect this kind of attack to come usually. Like, he's going to be making more drones than anything a lot of the time. Like, these units, I feel, for SortOf that he made now were definitely defensive. Look at it, starts the fourth bait. SortOf, I like his position there. You know, 67 drones if he drones up a little bit more. The thing is, he's getting units. It's almost as if he's really, really worried. And I mean, as much as he might, like, it might be right to be worried, not yet, because the attack's not going to come just now from Lilbow. It's going to come later.
You wanted him to make even more drones and he's currently
Yeah, a few more.
Really?
Yeah, go a little bit past 70, and then from there, yeah, look at this. He starts 10 more. It's really bad to get unit first and then drone up
I
behind.
understand.
You want to do the opposite usually.
But I think
and
right
get a
now-
macro hatch in there as well. He's not getting a macro hatch. He's getting one more base.
I agree with you for the point if it wasn't for the fact that he does have all his bases saturated already. It's like 16, 17, 16, and he has all his gases. So I think getting those units first, and he's sending these drones anyway to the fourth base that wasn't ready yet. I think that makes it okay.
Okay.
Like if he only had like four drones in this base, and then he's making units, like then I totally agree with you. But I think now it was alrighty.
Why is Lilbow getting cannons in middle lines?
He burrowed roaches, paranoia. Or maybe he only saw, I think he only saw Zerglings and roaches at first. I think he's worried about the Spire. And now he sees the Hydra list, so he might cancel them.
He went into a lot of gateways actually. He's going to be getting a very unhealthy amount of stalkers here in his second.
I think he was worried about Mutalisk for a split second, because his first hallucinated Phoenix only saw a couple roaches and then saw Zerglings. And he's probably wondering like, why are you making links if you want to make roaches and Hydras? So maybe he's like, I know what's going on. It's Inspire, but it wasn't Inspire. I think that's the thought process of Lilbow right now.
Yeah, that's quite possible. He's on 9 gates, Roddy. And he's moving on the map and proxying pylons. Is this time for the... He's going to upgrade the baguette, man.
Like, the only thing I don't like about SortOf style is how late his upgrades are. They're so late. He's like just halfway done with +1 missile attacks against the Protoss that has +2 already. But if Lilbow makes this work, I think a lot of Zerg players will be facepalming a little bit. Like, look at this silly Protoss. He made 19 cannons in his main base, and he runs across the map and he wins, you know?
Yeah.
Seems like an okay concave, I think, for SortOf.
Time war.
A lot of Hydras is shooting as well. Mothership Core dies immediately. I kind of like this engagement so far for SortOf, but...
Coming in from behind here. He actually forced Lilbow back for a second, but supply-wise, Lilbow doing pretty okay. Running on the force fields and Guardian Shield, though.
Yeah.
But there is just so many Hydralisks. If you can section him away, those pines here are very important. The force fields are going to go down, Roddy.
Yep, I think they will go down.
Oh, very late, though.
A couple Hydras could still squeeze through if he really wants to. Drones coming up the line as well, but oh man.
I don't think there's enough force fields to go for another set. Maybe just barely enough.
Look.
Hydras come through.
Yep. Actually, all of the units should be able to come through now, but still though, these Stalkers have really good upgrades. 12, 13, 14 drones went down already. Lilbow is up 12 supply. I think like SortOf Star, I guess, is just not working against what Lilbow is doing over here. Crazy blinks all over the place, warping in 9 Stalkers at a time. And he's just going to win game number 2 like that as well.
The reaction was too slow by SortOf here with moving on the right-hand side. A lot of units, got force-fielded away. And then when that happens and they're not shooting, then Lilbow just kind of blinks back and crushes this. And he's making the Baguette Protoss look very, very strong here in this series, Roddy.
Yeah, and Cactus Valley is a map where force fields can be very deadly. So it's hard for SortOf to always have his units in the right place. But I really don't like the super, super, super late Evo Chamber style, Todd. How do you feel about it? It's like he's fighting +2 Stalkers with 0-0 Roach Hydra.
Yeah, but then if he get upgrades, he will have less units. Would he make up for it, do you think?
I mean, I think there is different ways to cut. Maybe like.
And also, do you think you can get missile +2 on time against Chrono Boost on the +2 of Protoss?
Well, you're gonna have at least 1-1. And I think that would make a pretty big difference already.
Yeah.
Because like when you get fights like that, it's actually Hydras can be effective against Stalkers. Of course, force fields complicate things, but they can be all right. They should be all right. You know, it's Hydra's job to be all right. As long as there's no Storm or no Colossus, it's the Hydra's job to be good against a Stalker. But if you're fighting 2-0 Stalkers with Blink against 0-0 Hydras, it becomes a lot easier for Protoss.
I think the first fight wasn't that good for SortOf, actually.
The one where he killed the Mothership Core?
Yeah, because if he had stood a little bit more back, then it's really the Protoss attacking into him.
Yeah.
Like a lot of people, they make the mistake of, you know, setting up the pre-concave and then they
they
get
run
baited.
forward.
Yeah, you get baited and then you get force fielded in.
Yeah, that's
and
me.
you lose a lot of stuff. I think this first big fight could have been handled a lot better by SortOf. You know, you set up the concave even further down. The thing is, Lilbow is just so intelligent. That move of going for the right-hand side, very few Protosses would actually attempt that and even pull it off. And SortOf, he reacted very slowly to this. He didn't have much vision, I think, because he didn't have any creep spread there. Obviously, he got snipes.
He
so
was too late. He was too late. And that could have been like, despite the fact that now it turned out to be a great position for Lilbow to fight. Normally it's hard because Stalkers are, you know, they're rather chunky. They're not super small units. So it's really hard to get an army of 30 Stalkers through, you know, that path over there on Cactus Valley where the final fight happened.
It's not impossible to beat Lilbow if you're Zerg. Hydra did it in WCS.
Yeah, 4-2. The third map is going to be played on Terraform. The runner-up of Premier League Season 2, just one map win away from qualifying for Premier League once more. Maybe keeping the door open for a BlizzCon dream, still there. As long as he qualifies, it's
going to need one hell of a performance, though.
Yeah, he's going to have to pretty much win it. But hey, if you can be the runner-up in Season 2, who says you can't win it in Season 3? We are loaded in, but so far thought, you know what scares me the most about the second game on Cactus Valley? Is that Lilbow kind of misread the style, made like 7 or 8 defensive cannons in total, didn't have the most economic opening. And yes, he had like 2 cannons, 1 in the main, well, maybe it's like 5, okay, 7 is slightly second, but 5 cannons, that's a lot of cannons.
Yeah.
3 bases, and he lost his Oracle, and he still made it look relatively easy.
He had sentries and stalkers, so...
Yeah.
As long as he can get those, he's going to be okay.
Well, that kind of scares me. Let's see what SortOf can pull off in game number 3 on Terraform. But I feel like on paper a lot of things were going his way on Cactus Valley, but in reality it just didn't go that way. And it was a rather sad outcome for our Swedish Zerg, Sveriga SortOf, spawning in the right bottom side of Terraform, going up against the French Protoss from Millennium. It is, of course, Lilbow. So far, the Frenchies doing well again. Yesterday, we already saw...
Really, Daishi did well today?
Well, Daishi had a rough road. Oh, man, poor Daishi. He probably practiced pretty hard for that series as well. I feel kind of sad.
How do you know, man? Maybe he's playing Hero League right now.
No. What? Hero League?
Yeah, that's... how the ladder, the rank ladder is called in Heroes.
Oh, okay. I thought it was a different game again. I was like, what is Hero League?
No.
It's in the... Oh, hey, I know what SortOf is going to do, Todd. You know,
Tell us, Roddy.
He's gonna channel his inner cats. He's taking the gold base over here. He's gonna make a bunch of queens and spine crawlers and then just leapfrog forward and try to break the natural of Lilbow. I've actually faced this build multiple times. You know, it's really cool how we often joke about Twitch chat. The first time I faced this, I was so confused. I was like, what is this guy doing? What is this guy doing? And then one guy in my Twitch chat who was watching my stream, he shouted at me. He's like, Roddy, he's doing the cats build. Wake up. He's going to get spine crawled. I was like, hey, I think this guy is right. You know, like this guy's shouting at me in Twitch chat. He's right. So I was like, cool, I'll drop a robo, I'll get up to Colossus very quickly, and then I managed to defend with a bunch of cannons and Colossus. And I was like, wow, thank you so much.
Who was that guy?
Total random, but I made him a moderator right after that, because he saved my ladder point, so I was like, you deserve to be a mod. He was like, you're welcome. I was like, thank you.
That's a fantastic story, buddy.
Yeah, it's true. It's 100% true. People who watch my stream can confirm. And then I played it one more time. And
I really like how you do the voice, too, of the viewers.
No, I could just sense his anger, you know, because there was a little bit of caps lock. It wasn't all caps lock, but it was. He's like, okay, this guy's serious. He's got a real message for me. Lilbow has he seen it, Todd? Yeah, okay. He's seen the gold at least, so he should be good enough to put the pieces together immediately, right?
What do you go for, though? I think you go
I
for a
think
robo, right?
Yeah, you want to get a lot of cannons because cannons are always good. They will buy time for you. And
Maybe you shouldn't wall off, because the wall off's gonna go down.
yeah.
You should wall off up your ramp, I think.
Up your ramp here.
Yeah.
You're gonna end up losing your natural then, though.
Yeah, but you can have no. The thing is,
That's
if you wall
interesting.
off here, you're gonna lose your wall off and then your nexus. If you wall off up there, then even if you lose your nexus, you're gonna have enough to hold with the immortals.
But the point of the wall off is to buy time for yourself.
Okay, did you watch the DreamHack games of Arium?
No, because I was casting into Extreme Master.
One base immortal. You're never gonna lose against proxy actually. One base. I'm not kidding you. One base immortal wins all the way.
I heard about it, but I didn't see it because it was like 4 a.m. Oh, and I had horrible Wi-Fi. Oh, this I really don't like, Todd. Getting your Robo here.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me, Lilbow? This is going to be the most important unit in
Yeah,
your
but
game.
SortOf is not going for this though. He's going for lair. He's just mining from that gold base, making himself at home on the other side of the map here right now.
Maybe because it got scouted so quickly, he didn't actually want to go through with it.
What is he gonna go for though? And the second gas going down. Did he read the Swamos patch or? This would have made sense in the last patch.
2 base Muta. So we do see a bunch of spines going down now.
He's overreacting big time. Like Lilbow, it doesn't look like he has any intention of being aggressive anytime soon. So these spines are massively overkill there. I guess
mean,
he is going forward with
He
them.
could still do it.
Why the layer,
Why the
though?
layer though?
Hydras?
Maybe make sure he can eventually get.
Oh no, he goes
Vipers?
spines, and then when there's 3 immortals, 10 mutas flying.
You think Mutas? No, it's Hydra then for now.
Okay, yeah, Hydras, I guess. Which can be pretty good against these immortals.
Yeah, like I wouldn't expect Hydras, but if I was a Protoss and I'd be facing this, I would still just go up to Colossus as quick as possible.
But you don't know. It's really hard to know. Oh, if he loses that.
No, but I feel like as long as this base is on this side of the map, you know there will be spine crawlers, you know there will be queens. So I would always rush up to Colossus.
But usually against just spines, immortals are enough, no?
No. No, Todd. You silly man.
You need to see Arium's games for real.
I think that SortOf is actually going to win this game.
Well, thanks.
Way to build up the hype, right?
The Wytra hype.
It's GG. It's GG. 2 circle. GG. Oh, thanks, Wytra. trying to tell a story over here. You know? With 4 spine crawlers, one of these gateways is going to get picked up immediately. Man, Lilbow is just not going to get a Robo Bay. I'm amazed by this, Todd. I would like to see 1 more spine, though. There are 3 spine crawlers right now, and that is against, or 4 spines against 3 immortals. Here we go.
He's gonna move out.
First Hydras are already showing up, though. I think one
mind.
of these spines is in range of Fulton Overcharge. I'm actually surprised about the low amount of energy that these queens have, aren't you?
Yeah. He's been crisp-petting a little bit too crazily.
I thought these queens would be like camping at 100, 150 energy, and then you look. So here indeed that wall off goes down like you predicted. And
Imagine if he hadn't made it, man.
And now I'm just really worried that the Robo is going to go down soon. And if the Robo goes down, he's never going to get Colossus. If he's never going to get Colossus, I don't think he's ever going to kill a bunch of Spines and Hydras and Queens. I know you believe in the thing called the Immortal, but...
A soul train, Roddy.
Okay, I wouldn't actually uproot ever through all 3. I feel that right now Lilbow is waiting for that one moment where SortOf uproots...
Or even goes forward just a little bit too far.
Yep, maybe.
He's going to force field some of those units and kill them very quickly. With the Guardian Shell and the Zealots, they're going to take a long time before they actually die. We have a 5th Immortal on the way now. And he's going to be on quite a few gateways. 7 in total.
But the sentry count is so low, and I think with 14 Hydras, you should be fine, right, Todd? All right, he's going to try.
Man.
He's going to try to get one, but no, Transfuse is good. Useful skill to have.
So much patience here from both players.
All right, time up going down, couple of force fields. I really like this setup for SortOf, though, with all these Hydras. A couple of the spines were not fighting, but Hydras are supposed to be good against Immortals, right?
No more Guardian Shield here is a big deal. That was really helping, but...
Oh, wow.
Lilbow's not doing too bad here with the Source Field,
he's doing
trapping some
great.
units behind these Immortals. They're going to town on those Hydras, and
okay, a
he's
couple
doing
of
it.
the shields are starting to run a little low. 1 Immortal goes down. 2nd Immortal is going to go down now as well, but all the Hydras have gone down as well. Man, he just crushed this with, like you said, just Immortals. I'm shocked. I really thought that
Arium will be proud, man.
that Colossus were the way to go, but... Okay, no more force fields, though, for the next fight, so maybe it's not 100% over yet, but all the queens went down, and
Yeah, I mean,
that is so massive. 7 Hydras in the
When
way
you have
now.
4 Immortals against 10 Hydralisks, I think you're pretty happy no matter what.
We don't have Hydra speed, and that bothers me a little bit, because he's reinforcing a lot from his main, so it takes like forever for a couple of those slow Hydras to wiggle their way to the other side of the map.
Lilbow's getting a War Prism to make sure he can reinforce into the fight. Not even going to remake, actually, that Mothership core for some time warp there. I guess he wants to end it before. He's actually flying around with the War Prism.
It still flies over a creep tumor, so I think...
He wants to go for the main, I guess, of SortOf.
Yeah, actually, no.
Oh, he's got so much. Guardian Shield was used a little bit too early. He's getting chased. It's funny the capacity of those Hydralisks to actually kite on creep like this, but creep is expiring. Imagine he disappears behind him. He's like trapped.
Like a bad horror. Oh, a couple forces going down. Zealot's getting some very juicy swipes off, and
you mess with the bull, you get the horns. You mess with the sentry, you get the force fields ready.
Lilbow's up 17 supply, and a War Prism is heading towards the main base, where he's going to unload a bunch of Zealots. And I really kind of like this for SortOf. I thought he was doing well, man. I thought things were going the way that he wanted, but Lilbow just showed impeccable patience once again, and just almost everything that Lilbow does, he just makes it look easy. He makes Protoss look so strong. What a race, Todd.
What a race.
What a race.
Look at these guys. They got so
Zealots,
many kills.
Zealots in the main, Immortals and Zealots. Well, you know, Lilbow has lost a little bit here, but he's killed 24 drones in the process.
Lilbow is killing SortOf in 2 places at once right now, Roddy. That's what's happening.
Yep, and you know, there's just nothing else that SortOf really has going for himself. There are 10 drones left, so maybe one final desperate little Hydra attack over here. But I think in the end, it's just not going to be enough. As Lilbow has too much, his economy is too good. And it seems like the French Protoss, that was the runner-up of WCS Premier League Season 2, will keep his hopes and dreams alive when it comes to going to BlizzCon. He needs to earn a ridiculous amount of WCS points, but the sky's the limit for the French Protoss that looked so good in Canada and showed us that his performance in Canada thought it was no fluke. GG is called. Lilbow will once again make it to Premier League in very decisive and convincing fashion. You know, Todd, it must be so good. It must feel so good to be so cocky and then being able to back up your cocky words, you know? Like, it takes a lot of courage to just say stuff, the things that Lilbow says, you know? Picking someone in Challenger and saying, like, well, I picked him because he's the worst player out there. Like, that takes courage. And, you know, it's
kind of what you do in bars, though, when you talk to girls, no?
Well, I don't have a lot of courage, Todd. I definitely don't have the courage that Lilbow has, but he's so... you know, so confident in himself, and it shows in his games as well. Like, it seems like he almost never second guesses himself. You know, he's never indecisive.
It's kind of like MC though, used to be for a very long time.
Killer instinct, that's what it is, and he makes it look easy. Like, I have no idea what else we should say about this series.
Probably, I guess, not much. Just Lilbow being Lilbow, doing some baguette builds, baguette Protoss with the mass sentries and stalkers in game number 1 and 2, putting it off very well in game 3, just adjusting to the build that SortOf was doing very well. You can argue that this maybe wasn't the best execution of the Cats build, as you call it, or even just a different variant, which in the end is probably much weaker. No?
The more that I think about it, the less that I like the very quick Hydra edition. Like, I really think making a lot of Zerglings makes it very scary for Protoss. So the moment that wall is down, you have to worry all the time about links running past. You have to renew your SimCity and stuff. And I feel it's much better to just get Zerglings and Queens. You can maybe add in a couple Roaches in there, but if he goes very Immortal heavy, I really think you should just go a lot of Queens and a lot of Spines. Not 4 Spines, of which 2 are like half dead already. But no, you want to get that.
But to be honest, I really feel like whoever was going to sit there and be the one attacked into was going to be at advantage. But somehow Lilbow moved out at what seemed to be the perfect time and dealt really well with this. Maybe not the best target fire by SortOf on the sentries. Because if you put the 4 Spines on the 1 sentry that was doing the Guardian Shield every time, and he denied that, those Hydras, they would have killed everything instantly.
Yeah, it was an interesting fight, because in the start of it, I thought like, well, you know, this looks all right. A lot of Hydras on creep, Spines are here, Queens, and then it's just like, well, nothing's really dying. Protoss, what a race. All right, guys, we're going to head over to a very small commercial break, and after that, we'll be back with our final series of the day, and this is one thought that I'm really excited for, because it is not only a Dutch player, Uthermal, he's going up against the God amongst men, the most legendary Protoss player to ever come from Europe. It is Alfie. Stay tuned. You're watching WCS Challenger, Day 2.